Hey guys, welcome back to Carey Digital, where I teach side hustlers and entrepreneurs how to create, connect, and earn in the digital space. So, if that's something you definitely want to learn more about, you definitely want to stick around. So, guys, in this week's video, I'll be talking about networking tips or strategies for introverts. Now, if you didn't know, I am a self acclaimed introvert, but to be very honest, I have more introverted ways, right? So I am one of those persons who feel very overwhelmed when I'm in crowds or when I think about networking. I get so overwhelmed. I have this thing, I call it social anxiety. I have to make up my mind that hey, I need to go to this event, I need to charge up myself. And so if you really connect in that way as an individual, then this video is definitely for you. So I have some tips here that have worked for me, and yeah, just let's talk. All right, so I didn't realize I was an introvert until more in my adult life. I always just thought that I was that person who was shy. No, let me tell you, it's not necessarily that I am shy, it's just that when it comes to networking, it just feels like it's too much. Like, I have to think about going into a room and, introducing myself, and I'm thinking about how to introduce myself, and, it's just so much. And I got to a point where I realized that using the word introvert or being introverted wasn't really working for me in the sense of being in my comfort zone, right? Because sometimes as individuals, especially as introverts, when we say we're introvert, we use that as like a crutch to not move further and do things. And I used that for a very long time, right? So yeah, as an introvert, I I really struggled with networking until I went to a conference, a very big conference. And as a young professional, I went to this conference in San Diego, California, where I went alone, and it was just a crazy thing to think that I'd go alone. There are other people from my country and from the industry who were at this conference, but it was such a huge conference, and I said to myself, "Wow, I will not be able to go to the same sessions like my coworker or like my colleagues. So I need to figure out how I'm going to do this." And one of the things that really helped me was I zoned on as like, remind yourself why you are here. And that's my suggestion, and that's my number one tip for any introvert who's thinking about going out there to network, is to think about your why. Why are you going to that event? Why are you at that event? Right? And your why could be, you want to meet someone from a particular company or in the industry who could potentially be your mentor, who could be a partner, who could be a collaborator, that kind of thing. So you want to think about your why. And the minute I realized I identified my why was the minute I realized, like, okay, if I really want this and I want this badly, then I have to think about my next steps, right? So thinking about the why and then having a strategy. All right, so when I talk about having a strategy, how are you really going to navigate the networking space? Now, listen, as an introvert, I normally prefer smaller gatherings, but when I went to this huge conference with so many people, one of the things that I did was to find all the breakout sessions, right? So I didn't go to the necessarily the after parties where there were so many people. I thought about going, and what I actually did was I went to breakout sessions where there were smaller number of people, probably like 25, 30, that amount of people, down to even 15, where I could connect with persons who were in my industry or had very similar interests. And that's another thing to have. The one of the strategy is to find persons who have similar interests like you, and then you can, it's easier for you to strike up a conversation. So those were some of the things that I did. I focused on, finding breakout sessions, finding smaller gatherings, finding persons with, who have, similar interests. And then the other thing is, in terms of strategy, you need to think about when someone asks you this question, and I really don't like this question, but it's like I do it sometimes, is what do? You have to think about what you want to share. What do you want to leave with others? And I had to think about that, like, when I leave this conference, when I leave this event, what do I want people to know about me? No, if you are a 9 to 5 and a side hustler, or a 9 to 5 and a small business owner, what you might find is that you might be a little conflicted in terms of how you position yourself. And this is something I had to learn. Sometimes I was like, okay, if I'm going to this event, am I going as 9 to 5 Carey, or am I going as the multi-hyphenate Carey? And oftentimes I went as a multi-hyphenate Carey, which sometimes was so much for me, because I was like, oh, hey, I'm Carey, I do this for my work, but I also have this, and this. And I'm really excited and really passionate, and this is why I'm here at this event, that kind of thing. So it can be a bit much, because when you're talking to people and telling so many people the same thing, it can get really exhausting. So what I would say is to jot down a script of how you want to introduce yourself, and think about what you want to leave with others, and leave it there. Just leave it all on the table. Be as impressionable, but be yourself, be authentic. And that's another thing. One of the key things in a strategy is to be authentic. I really don't like going to events and you have those persons who are like over the top and I mean, if it's their personality, that's fine, but I really don't do well with the fluff, especially at networking events. Like, you're drinking and you're moving from here to there, and I am this and and what do you do? And save me with all of that. I'm not about that life. So yeah, have a strategy. And as I said, one of the strategy that has worked for me is to be clear on what I want to leave with others. All right, then I have leverage online. Now this is a perfect time, based on everything that's going on, to leverage online. No, I think digital has helped me so much in this era, because if you watched my video on lessons I had to learn when I entered the working world, one of them was leveraging online, but also sending cold emails and sending those requests on LinkedIn to reach out to people I wanted to meet or connect with. So no, guys, you need to make LinkedIn your best friend. If it's not your best friend, you need to dump whichever best friend you have and make, as in terms of digital, and make LinkedIn your best friend. Because one of the things I've found with LinkedIn is that you can type in job titles and find people with similar job titles, or and reach out to them, for instance. Or if you're going to a conference, this is what I do. When I'm going to an event and I see who's on the lineup, I normally Google these people, because I'm not going to this event just because, it's an event to be at. I'm going to the event to probably learn, as I said, it comes back to the why. I'm going to this event for a reason. I'm an introvert, so I'm very, very strategic and intentional about the events I attend. I don't want to go to an event, or I don't go to an event just because already going to the event feels overwhelming. So what I do is to Google, research the persons who are on the lineup, or speakers or panelists, and I reach out to them sometimes before, or get a good idea of who they are, so I can say, okay, this is someone I want to connect with. Shoot them a message. Hi, I'm looking forward to seeing you or hearing you speak at this particular event. And then even after the event, you can send them a message, right? Based on if you guys connected, or you felt like you had a need to connect with them after. So yeah, those are some of the little things. Leverage the online space. In terms of leverage the online space, so a lot of in-person events aren't happening. We're doing a lot of things virtually now. So one of the things I would definitely say for you to do is, as I said, find the persons within your industry, within a particular niche, and shoot them a message. Guys, this is something I don't think I've ever been shy about in terms of shooting people message online. It's like actually way easier for me to message someone and be like, hey, I'm applying for this and I'd love to get your insight, or I want to learn more about this and I'd love to get your insight, or I'm transitioning to this new role and I'd like to get some tips. Be very candid about what you want, and if they respond, that's perfect. If they don't, you don't lose anything, right? But I would definitely say one of my number one tips for introverts is to go online, leverage a digital space. I've met so many people online, and I've met them online, and then I've went to networking events and meet them, and then they're like, okay, this person, I can vibe with them, I connect with them, and the relationship grows into something more than just the online friendship or whatever. I have had online friendships or just relationships that were built online that turned into something more. So I can definitely say as an introvert, it has worked for me. And the other thing is to challenge yourself when you're going to these networking events. Challenge yourself to go alone. No, I'm a loner naturally, so for a lot of the events that I go to, I not only do I go to them alone, I go there alone, sorry, but my friends or sometimes my colleagues don't have a similar interest, and so because they don't have similar interests, they might not be necessarily interested in going to these events. I have to go alone. So I would say go to these events alone. It challenges you to talk to people. One of the things one of my close associates taught me was you don't need to know the 99% of the people in the room. You just need to know the 1%. And it was very insightful because in a way, not necessarily that's what I was doing, but normally when I go to events, I don't feel like I need to meet. You know how some persons just be walking and collecting business cards? First of all, is that even a thing? But you know how sometimes persons just be walking, collecting business cards, that kind of thing. I don't do that. Like, I would go to an event and I'd literally say, okay, I want to connect with this person, and 3 other people, and I'm good. And once I meet that, I am out, because I don't feel like I need to be there for this extended period for whatever reason, right? I've also went to events, and when I research them, or research speakers, I should say, and panelists, and I've gone to the event and I hear them speak or just the energy, and I was like, okay, I don't really necessarily need to meet this person based on energy or whatever, and that's okay for me. But then I've also went to events and I didn't have any intention of meeting a particular speaker or panelist or whatever, but then based on what they said or something that connected with me, I'd be like, I'll go to them and I connect with them. And here's the other thing too, which is really weird, but I do it sometimes, is I'd go to an event, but you know how sometimes you go to an event and you might have this one speaker that everybody wants to swarm, and I'm like, okay, I'm not about that life. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to you on social media or whichever platform and tell you thank you for just what you spoke about, and probably have a follow-up question or something. That's just my approach generally. But for introverts, it can be a bit overwhelming, and I'm gonna share with you a book that I bought from a fellow introvert. I haven't fully read this book, but I started, and it's called Hiding in the Bathroom. An introvert's roadmap to getting out there when you rather stay home. This is the ideal book for me. I met the author in Seattle when I went on my fellowship for the Young Leaders of the Americas program, and I was working at the Riveter when she came and speak. Her name is Maura Millie. I really hope I'm not butchering her name, but this is a book. And pretty much when she came, she spoke about when she's going to do a speaking event, she normally goes into the bathroom and to it's like a zone. And I realized I do it as well. Subconsciously. When she said it, I really connected because when I go to an event, I'd be talking, meeting people, everything, and then after a while I'd be like, excuse me, or when I get a break, I just take a break, I go to the bathroom, and I was just in the mirror and I just, take some time because I feel really overwhelmed by just the crowd and the talking and all of that. So I would suggest if you're interested in, just other strategies for as an introvert to put yourself more out there and going to these events and connecting and networking, this is a great book. Another great book that I don't think it's anywhere near me here, but another great book is Never Eat Alone. I've not finished reading that book, but I'm looking all over for the book because it's somewhere near, but obviously not within arm's reach or whatever. But yeah, that's another great book. Never Eat Alone is really good because it gives really great tips in terms of not just networking but connecting with others. Trust me, you need to read that book. I'm gonna link all of these resources in my description, and if you have any questions, whether you're an introvert or otherwise, be sure to reach out to me and I'll be glad to share more tips or other things that come to mind. All right, so thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.